Mike, as someone who played under Rojas in the minors and worked really closely with him as the outfield coach last year, what type of a manager is he, and what type of manager do you expect him to be at this level?
Louis is he's a very open-minded guy. He's very big on the back and forth. He's really big on communication. Always been that way since I first played with them in the playoffs in Low A, the first year I got drafted. And really, when I first met him, he wanted to talk about my defense, because I came up with that, that attached to me that my defense was not what it should be. And he just wanted to talk about it. Where do you feel like you're, not your best? What do you want to work on? Really from day one and all the way through high A, and then when he came and worked with us in the big leagues, he's always been that way. So I think that's really important, especially in this day and age where there's so much staff, there's so much, so many people coming through. I think that's something he's going to really handle well as being a great baseball mind.
What has this offseason been like for you personally, but also I know how close you guys are as a group, just the communication with each other, considering that at the end of last season there seemed to be this feeling amongst the group of, if we only had a couple more weeks, we could have gotten in. Just has the anticipation been a lot higher about what the possibilities could be after that second half run?
Yeah, I think the communication amongst the players. Usually we're together for 8 months every single day. So usually when the off season hits, we don't want to talk to each other. We just want to go home and see our families and friends. But I talked a lot to JD, Jeff, Pete, Nemo, all the guys, and obviously we're following along with the playoffs closely and seeing all the stuff happening, and we just we feel like we're a team that should be there. We hung tight with the Nationals all year, and we felt like we played at that level, and so it's a confident group. We feel very, very good about where we're at as a team. We're young. We've always had the pitching. We just we need to tighten up the stuff, the base running, the defense, and hit a little bit better situationally. But as far as how we feel as players, we feel like a team that we can really be competitive, and we can be playing baseball in October.
Having Luis in the organization for so long, how about just the comfort level with you guys as he now steps into this new role for the first time this season?
It's a different feeling. It's just knowing him from he was my first coach, or one of my first coaches coming into the organization. He's been with almost all the guys that are homegrown in this organization. So it's going to be a game changer. Just knowing him as a person, knowing what he feels is important in the game of baseball, what he what his messages have been through the minor leagues. I don't anticipate them changing at all up here in the big leagues. He's always been a team first guy, a fundamental guy, and to play the game hard in the right way. And we top to bottom, we all respect him. We all have respected him. We've all loved him as a coach. So I'm really excited for him. I haven't gotten to see him. He's probably been pulled in 100 different directions, but I talked to him a little bit when he got the job, and it's just it's a cool thing for him to. He came up with us, so that I think there's that kind of respect we have for him as well. He kind of grinded it out with us in the minor leagues, and now he's here with us. So that's a pretty cool thing.
Mike, how closely did you follow what was going on in the aftermath of the commissioner's report about the Astros sign stealing, and kind of the surprise factor when Carlos left before even managing a game here? Was that kind of a shock?
Yeah, well, it's definitely a shock, and we were all very excited about Carlos, getting the chance to play for Carlos, and it's definitely it's tough to not have the chance to play for him and to see what he had to offer, but obviously the organization is going to do what's best for for us moving forward into the season. And I think we us as players, I mean, everybody who plays Major League Baseball was locked in on all the stuff that was going on. Obviously, it was there's a line that definitely shouldn't be crossed, and Carlos's involvement with that is it is what it is, and moving forward, I think it's best that that we just are focused on us and this season, and with Louis at the in that spot, I think we can just focus on playing baseball.
Michael, what are your personal goals for this year? What are your expectations as you pick up hopefully where you left off at the end of last year?
Yeah, you know what? I'm really excited to build on last year. I felt like, I did feel like I left a little bit on the table there last year. I think, I still have some potential that's untapped. I worked hard this offseason to try to get better at, better in the outfield, a little bit quicker, with my running mechanics and stuff like that. And obviously, you always work on your swing and trying to be more efficient, more consistent with striking the ball squarely and to all parts of the field. And then that's we're going to continue to do that through spring training and as we progress towards the season. But I think my goal is to go out there and help the team win. And I think I do that by staying on the field, being healthy, and being a guy in the middle of the order that gets on base and that drives guys in, uses the whole field and continues to do the things that I do when I'm playing well. Consistency is key, and I'm trying to be as consistent as I can be this year.
And Mike, last spring, I think they told us you were going to play right field, and that was it. It didn't quite work out that way. Have they spoken to you that, or would you prefer, to be in one spot and that's it? Or talk to you about that?
I think that's the plan, again, moving forward, but there's so many things that can happen over the course of the season. I mean, we've seen a lot of injuries. We've seen, hopefully that doesn't happen, but I'm prepared for, to play center field, left field, whatever. Hopefully we're setting our roles and we can just go out there and play, play right field every day. That'd be great, but I definitely, mentally and physically prepared for any, any situation. But if I go out there and play, 160, 150 games and right, that'd be great.
Michael, how would you describe the differences in the facilities here now versus the past clubhouse?
This place is beautiful. Had I not seen the pictures, I think that Anthony tweeted out, I would have had no idea what it was going to look like. And I saw them on the trip here, and it just blew me away. And then showing up here today, it rivals our New York stadium facilities. The weight room's probably bigger. The weight room's awesome. The cages are great. It just looks like it was done right, and it's awesome. I know they're still working on it, but the difference is, you can't compare the two. It's pretty special here. So I think guys are excited to take advantage of what we have here now, the resources, and we should be. If we can't get ready here for the season, then we're in trouble. This place is pretty awesome.
Michael, when you were talking about the Astros and Beltran, you said there's a line that shouldn't be crossed.
Mm-hmm.
If the data is accurate, two of your current teammates crossed that line quite a bit,
Mm-hmm.
Risnick and Davis. Should they have been punished by the commissioner, and do they have any problems in your clubhouse this year as guys who crossed that line?
Well, I don't think that's for me to say. I certainly, as teammates, I don't see any, issues that are going to come up with, pitcher, player, position player. Those guys are our guys. They were there. There's no telling what exactly. I guess there's reports out there that say total trash cans banged or whatever. I don't know how reliable you can, make that, but I don't think that's what we're focused on this spring. We'll leave the Astros and the Red Sox to deal with that. Our involvement with it was Carlos, and we've kind of moved on from that. But I don't see us dwelling on that at all. I think JD and Jake they're our guys now, and we're moving forward. They're going to be part of a winning season this year.
Mike, do you think you need to hear anything from them just about their version of it? Or are you just content to just kind of let it, to not even go there with them?
I mean, I'm sure there'll be conversations about it.
Right.
If I'm being completely honest, guys will talk about it, but there's not going to be any animosity towards them. These things, when you're in a team setting, it's any of these guys that are in here now, they're our guys, and that's the way winning teams are. They bring their guys in, and they we're one group, one winning group, and so I think they'll probably talk about it, but there won't be anything going from there. Some guys might be curious to hear what happened, but moving on from there, we're just focused on us and winning games.
Mike, have you seen the proposal for the restructured playoff format? I just wondering your thoughts, and you think it's good or bad or in between or anything?
I saw a headline and I glanced over it. I haven't looked into it enough to really comment on it. More teams in the playoffs sounds cool, but I haven't really dove into that yet. So.
Mike, you spoke about this being a winning team. When you look at the offseason and all the moves that were made in this division, do you feel that there's more pressure on this team to duplicate what they did in the second half and have a stronger start to the year so you're not playing catch up?
Yeah, I think that's the name of the game. I've said this the last 2 years, maybe 3. If we can play to our potential and put together a good, you look at June, July, those middle months where we haven't played well. If we can put a full year together, stay healthy, and do things like take the extra base when we can, get that extra out, or just limit the damage in an inning, and win ourselves a couple more games in those months where we're always going to have a down month, relatively. You can't be on the entire season. It's just not how baseball is. But if we can limit the damage during those months, and play to our potential and do what we're capable of, we should be there with those teams. The Nationals, the Phillies. Our division is tough, but we knew that going into last year. We know that going in this year, and we feel that we have improved going into this year, and we're excited about the group that we have. So everybody's got an extra year of experience under their belts. We can go back to those months, in our memories, and remember the things that didn't go right, and try to improve upon those things, and just kind of be aware of where we're at during those times in the season, and just kind of lock in just a little bit more, just to make sure that we don't have to play catch up at the end of the year. We want to be at the top. So it all comes down to us, executing and doing what we're capable of, really.
Everybody good? Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
I feel good. Pretty much the normal off season, just a lot more work, obviously, with the ankle. But I feel good. I've thrown a bunch of bullpens already. I think I'm up to date with everything.
A decent number of your former teammates have commented now that everything's come out about the Astros in 2017. Just overall, what are your thoughts, having been, on the Yankees during that stretch, and do you feel, as some have noted, that you guys were perhaps robbed of something?
I feel like maybe a lot of teams might feel that way. Obviously, after hearing everything that happened, I think as a team, we kind of knew there was stuff going on. We just wasn't sure what it was. Definitely sucks looking back at it, but if I spend too much time on that, I think it's not fair to the guys that I'm here with now, I'm looking forward to 2020 season with the Mets. So I don't think I want to harp too much on that.
Dellin, you mentioned kind of normal, healthy. At what point did you kind of go from having a rehab offseason into just being ready, good to go?
Well, I feel like I've been pretty much even today. Like I'm doing stuff to make sure that I maintain, that ankle strength. So I'm doing just more stuff every day. I'm gonna continue to do it all season, but I feel good coming into camp.
So is the shoulder a concern at all at this point, or is it more the ankle coming in?
I'm not. I mean, I'm maintaining with both. Obviously, I'm not really concerned. I feel good. Like I said, I put in a lot of work this off season, so I'm right where I need to be.
Dellin, for people to truly move on the way you talk about, not harp on the past, do you feel like you have some teammates now who were on the Astros in 17, Marisnick and Davis? Do you feel like they need to talk to you or some other people about what was going on to move past it?
I mean, we all know what's going on already, so I don't think we really have to have that conversation. Obviously it's a new year for me, and I'm focused on helping, this team win. I don't think I really need to talk to anybody. I mean, everybody knows what happened already, so, we just gotta kind of move on and, put that in the past.
What do you think of your new skipper?
I'm excited. Obviously, I've heard a lot of great things. I got the chance to meet him, and me being from Dominican Republic, I think is an exciting time for the country. To have Luis Rojas as a New York Mets manager, I think is a big deal.
Dellin, you said that Beltran obviously played a big role in you signing with the Mets. How did you deal with not having him here and obviously departing from the team?
Obviously Beltran's he's a close friend of mine, so I felt bad at the time for him. Obviously I gave him the space. He has a beautiful family that's kind of helped him throughout this process. But I think for me, I'm just excited for our new manager, Luis Rojas, and I think a lot of the players are excited about him. He's been in this organization for a while, so I think I'm just ready to play for him.
You came from a dynamite bullpen. Do you think this bullpen has a chance, based on what you've seen and as you evaluated, has a chance to bounce back and be pretty good?
Stuff is there. Definitely electric arms in the bullpen, both righties and lefties. I'm definitely excited to join this group. I think we could be special. With the guys we have, we have a couple guys that save over 50 games. I don't think many teams can say that. So, I'm definitely excited to be a part of it. Health is a big key for all of us, and I can't wait.
What kind of challenges do you expect pitching in a different league?
Probably, I've heard a lot of people say, National League is, you just gotta be aware of the ups and downs. I think, sometimes the lineup switches and you gotta kind of be more aware of that. Pay a little more attention to the game early on. I'll try to ask as many questions as I can to the guys that have done it for a while here, so try to learn from them.
Dellin, did they think there was did you have to do anything mechanically after what had happened to your shoulder and the Achilles? Like, did they draw any type of link from what you were doing delivery-wise or anything, or were they just kind of random things that kind of happened?
Yeah, I didn't really change anything, just besides my rehab stuff, but no mechanic changes.
What is your confidence level, just given the health stuff, that you can jump right back into being the player that you were in the past, the all-star caliber player, versus having an easing in period?
I'm confident. Put in a lot of work this offseason, a lot of hours to make sure that I came in camp ready, and I feel good at this point.
Dellin, picking up with the bullpen question, I know that you're a fan, so with all the struggles that Edwin Diaz had last year, and you've been in that role, also in that close-in role at times, back with the New York Yankees, is there any advice that you give him in terms of moving on and just trying to make it into another season? Do you know Diaz? Do you have a relationship with him?
I've gotten a chance, obviously playing against him when he was with Seattle, and here against the Mets last year. Best way is just, last year's in the past. You gotta, put that stuff behind you. Obviously, easier said than done, but he has the stuff. I mean, I don't think his stuff diminished. So, I have the utmost confidence in him that he's gonna, have a phenomenal season this year. And, whatever I can do to help, and whatever he can do to help me, I think that's what we got to do as a group to make sure we win ball games. We got to help each other out.
Tony, you talked about the hard work you put in. You look great. Did you lose weight or reshape your body at all?
I mean, I lost some weight from last year, but I think this is pretty normal where we're from this spring.
So just to be clear on the ankle Achilles stuff, you're still doing some strengthening exercises there, but you're a mostly healthy, normal player for spring training and expect to be there opening day.
Yeah, I'll be ready for opening day.
Dellin, can you just talk about the dynamic from switching teams from one crosstown rival to another, and how different this is for you coming into this spring?
I mean, it's different. I spent a lot of years with one organization, but good thing is that I know a lot of the guys here, and I've gotten a chance to meet them. With obviously Mets the organization did a tremendous job a couple weeks ago of doing this Fan Fest, which was the first time for me. A great event for the fans in New York, and knowing a lot of the guys, I think has kind of helped me. It's a good first day so far.
Thank you very much, Dellin.
Thank you.
Ready?
Weird, you two are sitting next to each other.
Who would have thought?
Steve, good. You want to ask a question together? Or?
You want to?
Yeah. Listen, no. After even really good starts last season, you talked about just not feeling quite right, mechanics being off. What type of work did you do this offseason to specifically just feel better about your delivery and where you're at heading into this season?
I think previous off seasons I focused a lot on like weight training, mobility, conditioning, and once it came time to pick up a baseball, I was just trying to get in shape for spring training as far as throwing and my mound work. Now, before I got to spring training, I had 10 mound sessions already, and I trusted our performance staff to put together a really nice throwing program for me, and I followed it to a T, and it's really paid off. And right now, where I'm at in spring training compared to previous years is night and day, just in terms of comfort on the mound and just being ready.
Are you still working to try and get that slider back to where it was velocity-wise a few years ago, or are you more comfortable with that, high 80s, maybe more depth that you showed last season?
I feel like the last start of last season kind of showed glimpses of where it was in the past. I think I got maybe, I'm not really sure the specific numbers, but I think there was a couple that in the 93 range, so that was encouraging to end the season on. But there's been a few mound sessions where I've started implementing the slider, and it seems to be back to where it was in previous years.
What do you just think of the pitching staff as a whole now with the additions of Porcello and Walker?
I think there's a lot of excitement to be said. First and foremost, Jake leading the pack. Back-to-back Cy Youngs, that's an incredible accomplishment, and just it's awesome to be able to watch the amount of talent that he possesses with the ease that he's able to do it with, and just guys like myself after that, and then Stroman, Steven, and Rick and Walker as well. It's going to be a lot of fun learning from these guys.
Do you put numbers together as far as like what your goals are for this year, or is it about just going out there and pitching well each start?
I don't really focus on specifics like that in terms of goals. I just try to be the best teammate I can be, and when I'm here, I'm working to be the best player that I can be.
What does it mean to be the best teammate you could be? I remember that was something you mentioned last spring as well.
Just trying to be encouraging as much as I can. I guess I've been here for a little bit. I can maybe offer some sort of leadership values to the younger guys. Just try all 25 guys or 26 or however many the rule changes. I don't pay any attention to that. It's just all about 26 guys pulling on in the same direction. So
No,
that's
it
what we're
was-
striving for.
Sorry. It was obviously an unusual offseason for the Mets, naming one manager and having to fire him and bring in a new one. Did you feel like that was a decision that they had to make, that was the right one to make, and how excited are you, or what are your impressions of Louis?
Well, that decision was way above my pay grade, I tried to stay out of that as much as I could. I mean, I don't say as much as I could. I stayed out of it. I think it was just strange circumstances of how it came to be. I'm extremely pumped and excited to have Louis as our manager. You know, he's the guy that has, you know, a winning pedigree and throughout the minor leagues. I think 2 championships in Savannah and 1 in Binghamton. So he's a guy that knows how to win and knows how to reach the ultimate goal, and that's winning a championship. And so we're all excited for it.
Did you see the proposed new playoff structure? And I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that, how it's going to expand it and some of the things they're going to do.
I haven't.
Potentially. Okay.
I haven't seen it.
No, with as far as the Astros stuff goes, you know, obviously you have Jake and JD in your team, and as a pitcher, they were certainly involved in things that were anti-pitcher, to be sure. I mean, do you hold? Is it tough enough to hold some sort of grudge? Do you need to hear something from those guys, or how do you handle that?
Honestly, no, I don't feel any animosity or hold a grudge. When all that, I mean, yeah, I think it was not the greatest for baseball as a whole, but I didn't pay much attention to it at all.
As far as your 2019 compared to getting back to where you were in years past, is it almost as simple as just a slider running back to where it was, or are there more moving pieces that you need to get in line?
I think last year where I struggled was a little bit of paralysis by analysis, kind of thinking a little too much and making things a lot more difficult than what they should be. I feel like I'm really going to benefit this year, but just keeping things as simple as they can and just trusting my ability and talent and not getting too hard on myself when things don't necessarily go my way.
Is that thinking too much on the mound while you're out there, or between starts when you're working on things?
Probably could be a little both, but I mean, that's just kind of how I'm wired, work ethically wise. As far as on the mound, I think that's going to be really beneficial for me, and a big step in my success is just trying not to be so small-minded. I don't know, small-minded, but just focusing on what my ankle might be doing, or little small things when I'm delivering a pitch.
How do you actually do that? Just knowing things like that can be easy to say in February, maybe harder to implement once you get out there and have a bad start, something like that.
Just being fluid with my delivery and trusting the athleticism as opposed to being more robotic.
No, were you always that way, even when you first came up and had some of those immediate results? Were you always thinking about those little things, or did it start to change as maybe you didn't get certain results that you thought you should be getting?
I think I was earlier in my career, I benefited just from being a little bit naive and fresh and young, where as I got older and more into my career, I started just discovering and learning more new things, and I think that's kind of what affected me negatively to a certain degree.
Noah, you said that, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Noah, you said night and day when you were comparing last spring training to this one. Could you be more specific? What do you mean by that?
I think just in where I stand now in terms of preparation and where it was last year, I think the previous off seasons, I'm just gonna figure it out on the mound during spring training. Whereas now it's like I spent the whole month in LA and I was able to get on the mound twice a week, whereas in Texas it's not the easiest to do that because the weather's very bipolar at times. I just was able to, the amount of mound work I got compared to the previous off seasons was a lot more.
Did you wind up getting a Tesla to commemorate your big?
Still waiting, Harold.
You gotta ask Jeff drives one.
We'll see.
Noah, how driven are you to get back to the playoffs?
I mean, how driven? I mean, that's all we ever really think about. That's why most of the guys showed up early to camp. That's why I do what I do in the off season to prepare, is because we're not going to be complacent with not being fourth best, fifth best. We want to ultimately be world champions.
Did you think, Noah, you mentioned a lot of the extra mound work that you did coming in. Do you think that helps kind of wipe out a little bit at times, like during the regular season, when you were kind of wondering to yourself why you had struggled? I remember a couple of times after games, you were kind of like, I'm not really quite sure why something didn't work. Like, do you feel kind of more confident because maybe you've taken out some of the question marks?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there were certain things like I think we had like our analytics guy come out to LA probably 2 or 3 times, and because the game's changing with spin rate and like induced vertical movement, all that stuff, and how the ball comes off your fingers in certain ways. It's really advanced stuff, and it's something that has just recently, within the last year, brought to my attention, and that's something I really needed to evolve and really change my game, and I think I really benefited from that.
So you're seeing a closer look at why things
Why, like you see like how Garrett Cole, when he was with the Pirates, was predominantly a sinker baller, and then went to the Astros, and now he's a high spin rate guy, 4-seam. So it's something kind of like just got to adapt.
Are there specific changes you are implementing based off that information and recommendations from the analytics guys?
Not really changes. It's just more of like a feedback tool to me, if I can create a certain spin, velocity, axis of the ball that tells me, then I'm doing something right. Whereas if it's not where I want it, then something mechanically is not syncing up.
So more feedback as opposed to they're making suggestions on stuff to change.
I mean, yeah, I think it's more feedback from me. Like, that's how I think I learn and get better from it.
All right. Thank you, Dan.
Well, thanks so much.